People are always so quiet during A Quiet Place showings. Can theaters hire these creatures to monitor all movie screenings? Hey everybody, welcome to Mainly Movies. Today I'm going to be ranking the 3 movies in the A Quiet Place franchise as part of my franchise Rankography series. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content like reviews, rank lists, and trailer reactions. So what is a rankography exactly? Well, it's my ranking of a filmography, whether that be a director's output, an actor's appearances, or even an entire franchise. My rankographies are based on personal preference, and I rank movies according to how much I enjoyed them, rather than any specific technical merit or attribute. Remember, this is just my ranking, not the ranking, so be sure to post your own personal ranking of the A Quiet Place franchise in the comments below. Sound is usually a big part in any modern movie, but it can play an especially big role in horror films. This is certainly true when it comes to the A Quiet Place movies, where sound is just as important as the absence of sound. So, unsurprisingly, all of the movies in this franchise have fantastic sound design. The whole stay quiet premise could have been gimmicky and could have made these movies feel too similar to one another, but it never does. Instead, this is a franchise that mixes things up enough to keep you interested and gives you characters to care about to keep you invested. All 3 movies offer up slightly different approaches to this premise, but all 3 are also very enjoyable, which makes this an extra tough ranking for me. I've already reviewed all 3 of these movies on this channel, so if you want to check those out for some more in-depth thoughts on each of them, I'll put links in the description below, and I'll also link them up in the cards as we go along. Alright, let's get this rankography started. Coming in at number 3, A Quiet Place Part 2. Well, one of them had to come in third, even though I love all 3. I have to admit, this was a film I was initially a little concerned about. I loved the first movie, but it felt like a satisfyingly contained story. Sure, there was plenty that was left unexplored, and it did have a fairly abrupt ending. But was more really necessary? Could it be as good as the first and continue to not feel gimmicky or repetitive? It turns out the answer was yes and yes. A Quiet Place Part 2 is a horror sequel done right. It follows the established rules from the first movie and gives us more of the characters we were already invested in, but also expands upon the story as well. The characters definitely make some frustrating decisions and have occasional lapses in judgment, but not really any more so than in the first movie, so it's an equally easy film to stay invested in. Once again, the sound design here is brilliant. Sound and silence drive the story, the characters, and of course, the creatures. Just like the first film, we're faced with a very tense story. We and the characters understand this world from the get-go this time around, but that doesn't mean you're not still on the edge of your seat throughout the runtime, especially since the characters are traveling around this time. And that glimpse we get at day 1, super intense. A tension-adding surprise here, though, was the strong film editing. The first movie had good editing as well, but it really stood out here. The characters are split up for a good chunk of this movie, so we follow 3 distinct but connected storylines. And the editing keeps them all tethered to one another, with tension that ebbs and flows in sync, so the intercutting among the 3 storylines feels seamless. Coming in at number 2, A Quiet Place, Day 1. I've gotta say, I did not expect this one to be my second favorite. They're all super close, so this might shift some with additional rewatches, but I'm impressed. As a prequel spin-off, this is certainly set up as an outlier in the franchise. It features new characters, a new setting, and a new focus, and was directed by a new director, but somehow it still manages to feel right at home within this franchise. We had a look at a small town day 1 in A Quiet Place Part 2, but this is something different than that. We're dealing with a big city here, New York City, and in mere hours, it's reduced to an eerie post-apocalyptic setting. The transition from loud, bustling metropolis to quiet wasteland is truly unsettling. As expected, this movie features some great sound design, though that aspect of the movie is probably the weakest of the 3 films. That said, those creature stampedes are something else. This spin-off approaches things in a slightly more action-oriented manner, but still uses the premise and rules we're accustomed to from the main films in the franchise. Speaking of things we're accustomed to, this film is filled with plenty of frustrating or downright dumb character decisions. The main characters here make some poor choices, as did the main characters in all of the films, but most of this movie's dumb decisions come from random New Yorkers. I get that it's day one and people don't really understand the extent of what's going on, but if you survived past the first few hours, you'd think you'd make some better choices. A herd? Really? Luckily, our main characters are pretty strong. Sam especially provides an interesting character angle to the story. She's dying before the creatures ever even arrive, so this offers up a different kind of tension than we're used to with these movies. Not necessarily suspense that she might die, but rather that she won't succeed in her personal mission. Lupita Nyong'o brings so much emotion to this role, and that adds the necessary human element that made all of the other films in the franchise gripping beyond their premise as well. And then, of course, we've got Frodo the cat, delivering one of the best feline performances I've seen in a long time. So that means my number one A Quiet Place film is A Quiet Place. All three of these movies are really close for me in terms of ratings, but I had to put the first one on top by just a hair. This movie was a breath of fresh air when it came out. It has an extremely simple horror movie premise. Stay silent or else you die. That's something that could have been too simple, but this movie manages to transcend its premise. It covers a lot of ground, featuring a unique post-apocalyptic setting and some characters that you really grow to care about. They definitely make some frustrating decisions at times. I mean, maybe having a baby in this situation isn't the best idea, but the family dynamic and the emotional impact of their grief and struggle to survive is palpable and elevates the story above just being a monster movie. A Quiet Place is such a tense movie. It's really interesting because it's structured almost like a slow burn horror movie, but has these bursts of intensity throughout that keep you on the edge of your seat and holding your breath. Again, it's got a really simple premise, but it throws a bunch of curveballs at the audience that helps to keep things really tense even with its relatively short runtime. Withholding background information and keeping the creatures themselves a mystery for the majority of the film certainly helps in this regard too. As is the case with all of the other movies in this franchise, the first A Quiet Place obviously has some fantastic sound design that greatly contributes to this pervading tension. It's a fairly quiet movie, unsurprisingly, but that stay quiet premise never comes across as feeling gimmicky. The use of sound, and sometimes the complete absence of sound, is incredibly effective here and really enhances all aspects of the movie. Alright, so that's my rankography of the A Quiet Place franchise. 3 movies, no decibels, and 1 extremely well-behaved cat. What does your ranking look like? I'd love to see some reasoning for your order, so be sure to post it in the comments below. Remember, I've already reviewed all 3 of these movies, so you can check those videos out if you want some more in-depth discussion of each, as well as my ratings, pros and cons, and even tailored film recommendations. And if you're interested in buying any of these movies, I do have affiliate links for all of them in the description below. I get a small commission from anything you buy using one of my links, so I'd really appreciate it if you use them if you're in the market for any of these movies. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information out of this rankography, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe while you're at it to see more rankographies like this, as well as movie reviews. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainly Movies. The way life should be.